The year is 2025. The Super Bowl is no longer just a game. It has become a battleground for media empires, and at the center of it all stand two icons, Kanye West and Kim Kardashian. After their high-profile divorce, the world thought the dust had settled. But no one could have predicted this, a showdown of monumental proportions, not on the field, but in the world of media, fame, and legacy. The stakes, the future of their children. In one corner, Kanye, a genius, a visionary, a man who has built an empire, not just in music, but in fashion and tech. In the other, Kim, the business mogul who revolutionized social media and turned her name into a global brand. As the Super Bowl approaches, both are preparing to use this stage not just for personal glory, but to stake a claim to the future of their kids, their names, and their legacies. But behind the spectacle lies a deeper question: who controls the narrative? Who will shape the world their children inherit? This isn't just about football anymore. This is war, a war for the soul of their family. And as the world watches, everything they've built could come crashing down in an instant. The stage was set. Super Bowl 2025 wasn't just another sporting event. It was a spectacle of egos, ambitions, and the future of two media moguls' legacies. In the lead up to the game, the media buzzed with rumors. Would Kanye West's latest venture in fashion steal the show? Would Kim Kardashian's new children's project surpass anything the world had seen before? Both were poised to make a statement, but the stakes were much higher than anyone could have imagined. Kanye, in his typical larger-than-life style, had already announced his brand's involvement in the Super Bowl halftime show. His new collection would be unveiled on the world stage, and his children, North, Saint, Chicago, and Solemn, would be a part of it, representing the next generation of Wests. But it wasn't just about the clothes. Kanye had a vision. His children would not just inherit his empire, but become the faces of it, the new icons of a cultural revolution he had always dreamed of. He was pushing boundaries, creating something more than a brand. He was creating a legacy that could outlast him. Meanwhile, Kim was not about to be left behind. Her Q empire had shifted from beauty to a more profound focus: family, privacy, and the future of her children. She had recently announced her own children's line, focusing on age-appropriate fashion that aligned with her values of stability, security, and a sense of normalcy. Values she believed Kanye was neglecting in his race to make his children global superstars before they were even out of their teens. The media war between the two was in full swing. Kim's Instagram posts were a daily display of calm, serene family moments. North learning to paint, Saint playing piano, Chicago reading books, all while subtly promoting her new brand. In contrast, Kanye's posts were bold, confrontational, and full of energy. He showcased his kids not as mere children, but as future moguls, future leaders. His posts were filled with images of North on the runway, Saint in a recording studio, Chicago designing her own clothes. The contrast in their approaches couldn't have been more striking. Kim's narrative was about family first, about keeping their children grounded and safe from the pressures of fame. Kanye's, however, was about embracing that fame, about using it as a platform to teach his children how to dominate the world on their own terms. The first clash came during a high-profile interview on one of the biggest talk shows in the world, hosted by the infamous Mike Porter. Known for his aggressive, no-holds-barred style, Mike had been able to get even the most elusive stars to reveal their deepest secrets. He'd already interviewed countless celebrities, but no one was more anticipated than Kanye and Kim. Mike wasted no time getting to the point. "Let us talk about your kids," he began, addressing both stars. "We all know they're going to inherit your empires, but what kind of world are you setting up, F? Is this a world of choice, or is it just one of celebrity and pressure?" The tension in the room was palpable. Kim, ever composed, was the first to respond. "I want my children to grow up in a world where they can make their own decisions, where they understand the value of hard work and humility. They will be given the tools to succeed, but I will never pressure them into a world of fame and fortune before they're ready." Kanye, on the other hand, leaned forward, his voice sharp. "You see, that's where we differ. I am not trying to protect my kids from the world. I am preparing them to own it. Fame is not something to hide from, it asks something to embrace. The world won't wait for them to grow up, they need to be ready now. If we wait, we lose. Mike Porter, sensing the growing tension, pressed on. But Kenny, isn't this a bit dangerous? These are kids, not commodities. Do you really think they should be put in the spotlight like this? Kenny didn't flinch. Dangerous, maybe, but it asks also powerful. We're talking about shaping the next generation of leaders, not just influencers. My kids have the potential to change the world, and I am not going to let them sit on the sidelines. Kim shot back, her voice calm but firm. I want my kids to change the world, too. But there's a difference between teaching them to be strong and letting them be pawns in a game they don't fully understand yet. I will not sacrifice their childhoods for the sake of an empire. The exchange sent shockwaves through the audience. For the first time in years, it seemed as if the public might be witnessing the final break between the two once powerful partners. Their media empires were no longer just business ventures. They had become opposing forces, each one fighting for control of the narrative surrounding their children as futures. The battle was no longer about who was richer or more famous. It was about who would get to define what their kids' lives would look like. And as the Super Bowl grew closer, the stakes couldn't have been higher. The showdown between Kenny and Kim was no longer just about the game. It was a battle for the soul of their family. Their children were not just the future of their empires, they were the battleground. The world watched as Kenny's vision of a new era of celebrity clashed with Kim's ideal of a more grounded, private life for her children. The question was no longer whether the Super Bowl would be a spectacle of entertainment, but whether it would also be the stage for a new chapter in their ongoing saga. The Super Bowl 2025 had arrived, and the world was watching. The stadium was packed with fans, the halftime show hyped beyond belief, but the real spectacle was about to unfold behind the scenes. The tension between Kanye West and Kim Kardashian had been building for months, and now it was at its peak. The public had been anticipating an explosive showdown, but no one knew exactly what form it would take. As the halftime show began, the lights went down, and Kanye's latest fashion line took center stage. His children, North, Saint, Chicago, and Psalm, walked the runway, their faces projected on massive screens around the stadium. The crowd erupted, cheering and gasping as they saw Kanye's vision for the next generation of Wests. Poised, powerful, and ready to take on the world. But just as the applause reached its peak, the moment everyone had been waiting for arrived. Kim stepped into the spotlight. She wasn't there to perform, but her presence was undeniable. Dressed in a sleek, elegant black outfit that screamed sophistication, she walked onto the field with a sense of quiet confidence. She wasn't here to compete with Kanye's vision of fame. She was here to offer something different. A vision of childhood not as a platform, but as a safe space. She had brought with her a giant screen that displayed footage of her own children, North and Saint reading books together, Chicago sketching in a notebook, Psalm playing piano. These were the private moments she cherished, the ones she believed no one should ever exploit. As the crowd watched, a hush fell over the stadium. Kenny stood frozen, his eyes locked on the screen. For a moment, there was no doubt. This was a statement, a challenge. Kim wasn't just showing her children as innocence, she was showing the world what Kanye's vision could cost. It was a moment of reckoning. Kanye, ever the provocateur, took a deep breath and grabbed the microphone. His voice was calm, but the intensity was palpable. You think this is about fame? You think this is about who gets more attention? No, this is about legacy. This is about changing the world. He paused, letting his words hang in the air. My children are destined to be more than just influencers. They are leaders, creators, game changers, and I will do whatever it takes to prepare them for that future. Kim, standing at the other end of the field, nodded slightly, her expression softening. She knew what Kanye was saying, but she could no longer accept his approach. With her own mic in hand, she stepped forward, her voice steady but unwavering. I believe in their future, too, but I believe they have the right to choose it for themselves. The world doesn't need another dynasty. It needs children who are free to become who they are meant to be, without the weight of expectations from us, their parents, or anyone else. The silence was deafening. The two were no longer just fighting for the spotlight. They were fighting for the very souls of their children. Kim's vision of a private, protected childhood collided with Kanye's drive for fame and influence. Both had the best intentions, but both were pushing their own ideals onto their children in ways that no one could predict. For a moment, it seemed like the world had frozen. The energy in the stadium was electric, but there was a deep sense of sorrow in the air. This wasn't a battle for control, it was a battle for freedom. Kanye's voice, tinged with emotion, broke the silence. I am doing this for them. I am doing this so they can live in a world where they don't have to beg for a seat at the table. I want them to be able to make decisions, to have the power to change the world. Kim responded, her tone gentle but firm, and I am doing this for them, too, so they can grow up with the knowledge that they are loved for who they are, not what they can give to the world. There, in the heart of the Super Bowl stage, with millions of eyes upon them, they realized something crucial. No matter how different their approaches were, their love for their children was the one thing they shared. As the Super Bowl came to a close, the world was left in a profound silence. The game had ended, the fireworks had faded, and yet, the most significant moment of the day had nothing to do with the sport. It had been a confrontation of ideals, a clash between two powerful forces, but more than that, it was a reflection of what truly matters in life, the future we choose to create for the next generation. In the days following the spectacle, the media buzzed with debate. Was Kanye's vision of preparing his children to lead, to take the world by storm, the right approach? Or was Kim's perspective one that emphasized freedom, privacy, and a childhood untarnished by fame, the path to true happiness? But in truth, neither was wrong, both had their hearts in the right place. Kanye, with all his ambition, wanted to ensure his children would never be left behind in a world that demands the extraordinary. He wanted them to be strong, powerful, and capable of changing the world. Kim, on the other hand, wanted her children to have a foundation of love, security, and peace, free from the weight of expectations. She wanted them to be able to dream, without being forced to follow a preordained path. As the months went by, the two continued to navigate their co-parenting journey, each realizing that their children's futures would not be shaped by one singular vision, but by the balance of both. Kanye learned to respect the quiet moments, the moments when his children could simply be themselves, away from the cameras. He saw the value in giving them space to grow at their own pace. Kim, too, saw the merit in encouraging her children to aim high, to dream big, and to understand that the world is full of opportunities, but that fame and fortune should never define who they are. Together, they began to realize that their differences were not obstacles, but opportunities for growth. Their children would inherit not just the legacies of two powerful media empires, but the love, wisdom, and lessons from both parents. The world was watching, yes, but the most important audience was their children, and in the end, they would be the ones to define their own destinies. The Super Bowl 2025 was more than just a battle for control. It was a reminder to all who watched that legacy is not built on fame, wealth, or dominance. Legacy is built on the choices we make, the love we give, the values we instill, and the freedom we allow those we love to grow into the people they are meant to be. As we all navigate our own journeys, it is easy to get caught up in the race for success, for recognition, for more. But true success is not measured by what we achieve for ourselves, but by what we give to others, and by the kind of world we help create for the next generation. The story of Kanye and Kim serves as a reminder that no matter how high the stakes, no matter how fierce the battles, there is always a greater purpose. It is not about winning or losing, but about ensuring that the children who will one day inherit this world are given the tools to shape it with love, compassion, and wisdom. And perhaps, in that way, both Kanye and Kim have succeeded. They may not have agreed on everything, but in the end, they both understood the most important thing: their children would be the true legacy. And that was a victory that transcended the Super Bowl, transcended fame, and transcended all their ambitions. It was a victory for love. It was a victory for the future.